crazy camp life, votes, and tribals, the life of a survivor is more than you see on TV. So if you need the scoop on island survival, crack a coconut, put on some rice, and let's spill the immunity. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It is Spill the Immunity. I'm here with Alex and Brandon. Gina's taking a little time off to do all her voiceover stuff, but we are ready to rock and roll. We've got a lot to talk about today. How are we feeling with no Survivor to watch? It's now been a little bit. We come into the new year and I am really missing. I'm almost tempted to rewatch some of starting at season 1, episode 1. What about you guys?
Bree, it's the end of Christmas vacation here. They're about ready to go to school. I'm going to butt off my kids next Wednesday. That's what's going to happen. They're crazy in here. Usually Survivor is my relief for Wednesday nights or Thursday mornings. Wasn't there. So I'm grabbing some parchment, voting them off. Alex, how about you?
Yeah. Well, I've been rewatching all of the seasons kind of in a weird order, just based upon which ones I don't really remember. And we've got through almost all of them now. So we're on China, watching James and Amanda. We always say James because that's how Amanda says James on the. But yeah, I get my Survivor fix. I like that there's 45 seasons, right? So you can kind of rotate those and kind of forget so you can rewatch them again, right? So yeah, I get my Survivor fix, but yeah, I really want a new season. And come February, American Survivor and Australian Survivor, we're gonna be like Survivored out. Like that, is there such thing as too much Survivor?
No,
I think we're gonna find out in February. Yeah.
Yeah. If we're gonna find out, we're gonna find out then.
Yeah, there's never too much Survivor. It is a lot to watch, but that's what we love. We always want more Survivor. We're getting 90-minute episodes back in 46. I think they used the time wisely. I think it really helped the show. I did see some comments and some posts in our favorite Facebook group, which is The Tribe Has Spoken. It's now The Tribe Has Spoken 2.0. So if you aren't a member yet, you should go join over there and get into these lively, I'll call them lively discussions, is putting it in a nice way. But there's a lot of opinions and a lot of people that have a lot to say about what's happening now in Survivor and a lot about the past. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. Brandon, I know you had made a comment in there and really found one. So I'll let you go first with what's your beef in The Tribe Has Spoken?
Yeah, so I believe that the one comes from a J. Ray, or maybe it's G. Ray. I don't know his name. Give me a phonetic spelling, please, Mr. J. Ray. So he talked about how his opinion is that Jake was not a goat. I had not heard of him being called, and goat meaning not greatest of all time, but so with that said, I think we as the immunity jury have to decide for the whole entire Tribe Has Spoken 2.0 whether is it true that he is truly lame duck, 0 vote goat, or is he just not as good as the other 3 and did play a game worth going to the final 4? Thoughts?
No,
You guys? I got
no, he didn't get a single vote at the final tribal. Can we trace back? He voted off Drew. I think that was the one vote that kind of disrupted things, but that wasn't even his really move, right?
Right.
That was Julie. So, can you point to anything that he did? I think he was a likable guy. I think very lovable, had an amazing story, but gameplay wise, and look at the jury, he didn't get a single vote.
Yeah.
So I will say though, it is confusing on Survivor. They call everybody the GOAT. Oh, this person's a GOAT, and back when that first started, people weren't calling people the greatest of all time GOAT.
No,
and now it is. So now it's really confusing because it's the exact opposite. It's the complete opposite of what the colloquial or cultural term of a GOAT is now. But in Survivor, it means you're the sacrificial lamb, you're the scapegoat, you're the person that they'll say did nothing in the game and you're useless and I took you to the end because you're an easy win. That's what a GOAT is in Survivor.
Caps lock GOAT is greatest of all time. You've got the lowercase, you're just a GOAT, right? Yeah. So you are saying with your words, you're saying right here, right now, that he is indeed the GOAT, lowercase.
I think there was, definitely 100%, right?
Okay.
He didn't. I mean, you have to point to plays. You have to have control of the game. You have to have immunity challenge wins. You have to have good idle plays. You have to have something. Was he the worst goat of all time? No, no. Did but yeah. I mean, he might be in the running. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, I can't see how somebody would justify him. I think they just maybe have an affinity towards him. They just like him a lot, and that's why they see him. Oh, he's so likable. But everybody was likable. Everybody got along.
Sure. So so we have a GOAT vote for you, Alex, right? He is
Yep, go
indeed
vote.
low GOAT. Okay, Bree.
Yep.
Well, I have trouble with this. So I don't want to call him a goat. And the reason is that he's my Charlie Brown, and we've talked about this. I mean, you don't get points for trying and failing. I get it. But for someone to be so persistently trying, I'm trying. And
Yeah.
Lucy, which is Katura, keeps pulling the football out from underneath him every single time. And so, yeah, he made a mistake by trusting her and just kept trying. I don't think he had a lot of options at the end. So that was really the only person he could try to like woo over and get them to go his way. But I don't know. When I think of a goat, I think of someone that just didn't really do anything and wrote coattails. They just kind of rode along, and they didn't make waves, and they kind of went under the radar and were like, I'm gonna just try to get to the end because I know at this point maybe I can't win, but I want to get as close to the winning because it's a scalable win, right? So first place is $1 million, second place is 100,000 or whatever it is now, I don't know. And so the closer I get to the finish line, the more money I'm going to take home with me, and the more I'm going to be on TV and seen. So I think that there's people that have come in and kind of skated. And I don't think I don't think we could say that about Jake. I don't think that, he did anything. He didn't make the moves, but he sure as hell tried hard. And he just kept trying, beaten down, almost voted off, kept trying. I mean, there's got to be something that that's not the GOAT level that we could give to him for just saying, you really put your heart and soul out there at the end, and you were really giving it your all. It wasn't, and so that for me, that's why I can't call him a GOAT. I just can't do it. I think that, and then
right
always being like, and we're on Survivor, right? Like, how bad is this? And I loved that about him, So it's just like
Bree,
that little
kid.
like
You're a no.
I'm a no. It's a little
Well,
kid.
I'm kind of
with
going
big
back
guys and can't go. I mean, he's like, you're too big for me, and I know I can't do anything to you, and I'm just gonna keep trying, and you're just he's just being like held off, by his. You see those where they will like put their hand on the guy's forehead, and the kid's just swinging away, can't hit anything, can't do anything, but like he doesn't give up. So,
Alex, you changed your mind.
I think I changed my mind. I think Bree, you convinced me. Charlie Brown is the main character. You know what I mean? He is the lovable main character who keeps trying, and people really identify with that. And traditionally, a GOAT has been somebody who, like you said, has done zero, nothing. They've rode the dominant alliance or the dominant person in the alliance, coattails to the end, right? So you think about like, Russell and the, the blonde woman that he went to the end with, right? Like, what did she really do? Russell did almost
Phil.
Right. Like these people, they really so Jake didn't really attach to a strong player. He just wasn't a target of the strong. And the core four was such a dominant alliance the entire time. There really wasn't an in. I mean, I think there were ins, but they just didn't know how to kind of, convince them of that until the very end. So yeah, I would say Jake, maybe he isn't a GOAT in the traditional sense, but I will say this, he was like never going to win that season with the core four in the final.
So there's no tie to break. You guys have successfully voted the same way. I'm with you guys as well. I think there's a difference between a GOAT and a coat GOAT, as you're explaining. And I think back to season 3 with Kim Johnson, who I think was the first GOAT, coat GOAT, if you will, of Survivor. She rode the coattails of the Lex and Big Tom and Ethan all the way there to the very end. And I think, Bree, you hit it on the head when you said he was trying. It wasn't that he was just trying to ride in as the third member. I think once his bawling scenes was him realizing that he was going to be the third one more and more as he played the game. So I will say that you, Jake, are not a goat. On behalf of Spill the ImmuniTEA right here, congratulations. You heard it here.
I love
you had
that.
one, Bree.
I have a huge, like, I get in these I don't get into conversations. I try to listen to other points of view and try to understand people's perspectives, but I do have this thing about everyone's like, it's Outwit, Outplay, Outlast. Like, let's talk about Outwit, Outplay, Outlast. It means you make it to the final. You're in the final tribal council to get voted on to win $1 million, and you win it. Anything less than that, you didn't Outwit, Outplay, Outlast. You might have done a little of that, but you didn't do all of it. And so when I see people saying they didn't deserve to win, I mean, I guess every winner deserves to win because they did the thing they needed to do, which was Outwit, Outplay, Outlast. And Outplay doesn't necessarily have to mean, oh, they won all the challenges or they did all the things, because a smart player will realize you can't win all that stuff and not be a huge target and get voted out, right? So that's all. Like, there's so many components to this that if you make it to the final, and jury management and like people voting, we saw it in 46 or 45. Listen, Drew was going to vote for Austin. He wasn't going to vote for D. Why? It's not because he's bitter. It's because he was friends with Austin, because they built a relationship. It's the same way with people that are bitter. I don't want to vote for you because you did me wrong, and I don't like you. I don't like the way you played. It's the same thing. So when you get to that final tribal council and people are voting, they're like, oh, I know I have Julie. Why? Because you played the best game or because you built the best relationship?
Yeah.
So I get really frustrated when people say, oh, they didn't deserve to win. They didn't deserve to win. And my girl Sandra gets a lot of flack, and I just saw it today. I've got to bring up that slide, and I don't have it. I'm going to put Bobby's up.
Bree, I wanted to ask you this. How would you describe Sandra's play?
I think she was villainous. I think she did things that got under people's skin. She played the game that was perfect for her, for what she could bring to the table. She took all of her natural instincts and resources and capabilities and played the best game that she could play. Right? Like, Ozzy's going to come in and he's going to play the best game he can play because I know I can fish and do these things. So I'm going to be a provider because it's going to make me more valuable. Those are his skills and his abilities. He's bringing that and going to use those to hit the best of his ability. She did it with what she had and what she could bring to the table. And she did it twice in a non-all winner season. Sorry, Tony. Love you. Great job. Congratulations on 2 wins. But there was always going to be a winner that's already won in that season. So for me, it doesn't count. I'm sorry, it doesn't. When you're talking about who is the best. And so Sandra did it not only once, but twice. She outwitted you twice, outplayed you twice, and outlasted you twice.
I think she's also quick to dismiss that she's a possibility to be voted out early on in the season. I think when her name caught on to people's ears and stuff like that, she's like, nah, that's not going to happen. And I think in that confidence, instead of taking that and being like, oh shoot, my name's on the chopping block, I'm going to get anxious, I'm going to stress out. And usually it's those people who have a hard time trying to bounce back from that. I think she displays so much confidence in her game that helped her out with how far she got during all the seasons. Even the seasons where she got, when the day 17 was her popular day of getting voted out the last 2 times, even on those episodes, she went further than anybody thought she was going to, even though 17 days, based on that confidence that she has to make sure it's always anybody but her.
Yeah, anybody but me.
I think she is able to maintain a really level of consistency in her personality, and that makes her hard to read for people. And she, from the beginning, is almost in some ways like difficult or like aloof, or I don't know, like she does a really good job, like not being a threat, right? She's not a physical threat. She's not a challenge threat at all. I mean, on her season, she didn't like win anything, so people see her that side. But that's what I noticed about her. She has kind of this hard exterior, but she's also a mom, and you actually saw that on the season with her and Rob. You really saw the mom side of her, and she's a mother of two children, which I really like seeing, because otherwise she's a little bit, just kind of like military like, right? And her husband has been in the military for a long time, and that's what I noticed about her game is she's just so consistent, and she doesn't freak out and kind of go off, the rails and blow up her own game. She's very controlled in her game too, and I think very thoughtful about it. So I think when you first watch it, and even what was the season where she came back and won the second time? Because they had some returning players on it. What was the name?
Heroes
of
and Villains.
Yeah,
Heroes and Villains, right? And she came back as a villain, and she said, "I don't deserve to be a villain." When you actually look at her play, I would agree. I mean, she is seen as villainous because her personality is a little bit rough, right?
Wasn't she the first one to take the shoes? I think they got her because she took the shoes.
That's true. She has done some and she might have been one of the first people to do some of that type of stuff.
She also didn't have any remorse, I think, for Johnny Fairplay whenever his grandma died. Like, I think that was a big part of it too, was that she was just this seemingly heartless, game heartless player, which is why she's great.
Yeah, I'd agree. But on that season, the heroes versus villains, she was like in the hero's role because she was warning about Russell the entire time, and she was actually a very nice person in that season, except for Russell.
I want to take that back. Didn't Russell or Rupert steal the shoes? Was that not Sandra?
Rupert stole the shoes. Yeah, she sold her jewelry and had the ability, because she could speak the language, that gave her the advantage. But she was right there with all of that. I mean, I think she would have sold the shoes had she, been there at the second. Like, that's not beyond what her capabilities. I think, Sandra's thing, and it does go to a military background, but also just her intellect. She has situational awareness. She sees steps ahead. She can see a situation. She can read a room. She understands where everyone is coming from. So she knows how to maneuver herself through all the crap. And that is what that all the way through, and everything that she's ever done. She knew she was going home when she did go home. She knew I think the only blind side, and it was her only weakness, was when she gave away her idol, immunity idol, to it, and then got voted off at that. I think that was the only time, and I don't think we'd ever see that again from her, because she learned a big lesson. She was trusting in that moment, and it didn't serve her well. So I think it's totally because she reads a room. She has situation awareness, 100%. I wanted to comment really quickly. Bobby was like, can we stop using the term king or queen for anyone who goes on a reality TV show? Now back to the winners.
Bobby, go hang out in a junior high hallway. Everybody's a queen or king in junior through high school. That's just what they use. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just what they do. But I think I think Sandra's I think that's what served her for so long and gotten her through so many things, is she really has situation awareness. And that's, she would have been a great football player.
Yes. Yeah. Which I don't think, going back to Jake for a little bit, I don't know if he had situational awareness. I know Dee did. Dee, I think that's why she won the game, with situational awareness, which might be the number one. If you have this, that's your best ticket to the end, is situational awareness, I think, of any quality.
Being adaptive and just reading, having that, because it really allows you to not change who you are, but like maneuver through all the crap that goes on in Survivor, right? And these little groups and that person, and then her way of downplaying that ability to see everything was, as long as it's not me, right? That was her way of just being like, oh, I'm not really paying attention to what you guys are doing or manipulating you at all. I'm just going to be like, as long as it's not me. but very well knowing that she totally understands what you're doing, and if it serves her, she will vote your way. So she's tricky, man. That's, I think, yeah, the best thing that you could do to win Survivor is to have situation awareness.
Yep. Great.
Yeah. But I want to talk a little bit. I want to hear from Alex. So is there a question? Did you look through the Tribe Has Spoken and see anything that kind of got your goat, that like got you a little riled up?
Got your goat. I see what you did there.
No, I always agree with the Tribe Has Spoken 2.0. I'm not trying to get any enemies in there. No, I didn't really find anything, you know. I've just been looking at the last season, and I'm like, or sorry, the next season, 46, and I'm like thinking about my pick, and I'm like, oh man, I picked the wrong person, I think. So
have CBS come out with the bios yet that they typically do?
I haven't seen them yet.
I haven't seen it, no.
Okay.
No.
I know they have come out with the 3 different tribes, or at least alleged tribes, and a couple of the Tribe Has Spoken 2.0 little snippets I've seen.
Yeah, I did see that Inside Survivor has come out with their awards for the season, or for just this, I guess, 2023. And did you guys, if you haven't had a chance to check out InsideSurvivor.com, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun to see.
Bree, if you have those, could Alex and I try to guess who the winners of those prestigious prizes are? I'm sure they get nothing for it, but do you have that list in front of you?
Yeah, I do. I have it right in front. I'm pulling it up right now.
Let's do it.
And I'm going to go down I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. So they actually gave us all of the breakdown of everything. So let me get to that part. Okay. And I will share that. I'm not going to share the screen because I don't have permission to share their website, but here's the full vote breakdown. Best season. Is it Survivor UK, Survivor 44, Survivor 45, or Australian Survivor Heroes versus Villains?
Oh, that's not even fair.
Go ahead.
Survivor Heroes versus Villains.
So,
or no, the Australian version.
Yeah.
Australian, yeah.
So
that's by far the best.
I'm going to agree with Alex on that one. I don't know do we know who's voting on this, or is it just that organization?
It's anyone that wanted to vote. So they put stuff out there, and I voted. So yeah.
Sadly, not enough people still have seen Australian Survivor.
Right.
I think they're going to side with 45, but the true answer is the one that Alex picked. If you love cutthroat villainous Survivor, this is the epitome of all cutthroat Survivor seasons. It's Australian Survivor Heroes versus Villains. King George .2.
Yeah. So the winner came out as Survivor 45 because of the ones in the 40s, the new era. I liked 45 the best, though I do have a affinity for 44 because Carolyn was a part of that. But I agree. I think the reason is not enough people have seen Australian Survivor. Shame on you, 10 Play. We need Australian Survivor. Figure your stuff out with Peacock or Amazon and let us get back into watching this next season. It's only going to help you to have a larger audience. Who doesn't want that? So work out the terms and make friends with everybody. 974 people voted for Survivor 45. 686 voted for Australian Heroes versus Villains.
It's 900 people who still haven't watched Australian Survivor. That's why they voted the way they did. And I voted. She voted for hers. 900
but they have seen stuff. So here's the best episode for of the seasons. I'm gonna go, I guess would be 43 or 44, 45, and Australian Survivor. We've got I'm Not Batman, I'm the Canadian, which is
the Caleb with one, right?
Caleb.
Or no, the Caleb he had the thing.
No Man Left Behind, which was from season 45, episode 3. Living the Survivor Dream, that's Jake, season 45, episode 13. And I Can't Wait to See Jeff, which is season 44, episode 1. I believe that was
Carolyn intro.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the Caleb. That was my initial. That's my pilot episode with you guys. It was the Caleb safety thing.
Yeah.
So where Jemiah got voted off, I believe.
Yep, and
Yeah.
that is the winner. Yep, and that one is
Yeah.
the winner. So that's really cool. I like this one. This one's easy for all of us, and it's a list. So get ready. Hang on. Best character.
Let's see if we get it. Oh, okay. There's options. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you options. We have D, Jam Jam, Jake, Emily, Carolyn, Bruce, Katura, and Franny.
Franny. Why is Franny?
I don't know.
It's all season 45, and then there's Franny. I mean, I would probably vote for Carolyn's not on the list.
Yeah, she's on the list.
She's like second or third.
Carolyn. But people like Yam Yam, Jam Jam, whatever Nam, right? I'm in the Carolyn boat, but I could see Jam Jam winning it, right? Because he's a winner too, and very likable. Carolyn could rub people the wrong way. I mean, I love her. I think she's hilarious, and I think she's so funny. But I mean, there was a reason that Jam Jam Yam Yam won over her, right? Maybe he didn't rub people, the wrong way, like Carolyn might for some.
Yeah.
But I didn't like Jam Jam as a winner personally.
I didn't like Jam Jam as a winner. I'm going to side with you again, Alex. We need to disagree sometime just to make this better TV. But Carolyn was hilarious. The reason why you kept watching, and then she got strategic. The birdcage thing, I think she had something crafty, or at least accidentally crafty with that. Her rolling her eyes at the bro down talk on that reward challenge that she had. I think she should have won this one.
Carolyn crushed the competition. She got my vote. She got 1,048 votes, and the next person that came in second was Emily, and she got 404. Everyone else was under 200. She crushed it. Carolyn is so well liked and well loved, and she continues to be that goofy same self that I do adore on her social media now. So
say it, Alex.
We weren't doing the podcast during 44. But why do you guys think Jam Jam won? I mean, I said it because he's the modern day villain, and he has this infectious personality, and he probably made people feel really good, and people just had a better feeling attached to him. As Carolyn at camp, you could see she maybe annoyed people, or like I said, rubbed people the wrong way, and Jam Jam was just so likable. And then two, Jam Jam was seen as, it's kind of hard, I mean, as the mind behind it, right? That he was like more of a strategist than Carolyn. I don't think that's probably true. But what do you guys think? Why do you think that people liked him, or why do you think he won over Carolyn, or who was the other person? It was the other person in the final with them?
Wow,
that's terrible that we don't even remember.
Guys,
are we even a podcast? What the hell? How do we not know this?
Shut us down.
Okay, 1 second. Let me find it. Okay, it was Heidi. So she didn't deserve to win, right? Of course not. But it really was Carolyn versus Yam Yam. I mean, Heidi was in there too, but she didn't really, I don't think, she had probably a less of a case than Jam Jam. But what do you guys think? Why do you think Jam Jam won?
He had the gift of gab like no one we've ever seen on that show in quite some time. I think Drew could have had a great final tribal council with the way he knew how to speak, and Yam Yam said with a smile on her face as if you're saying it right to you. And the most, he needs to be called by Hallmark with the lines he had to make you feel all sweet and fluffy inside. So I thought that was a big part of his game.
Yeah, I was doing the podcast back then, and like Amy just pointed out, and I want to get to Bobby's comments here in a second too. He had a way of making you feel like you were the most important person in the room, and he would do that with everyone. It was just something about him, and Carolyn had that as well. But I think that she was a little. It was a little goofier and a little harder to understand, where he really focused in on you and made you feel that special way. And so you just adored him. Right. And it worked for him, man. He was really he had connections with everybody, and I think that was the secret to his win. I don't know if he actually had situation awareness, to be honest with you. He did in a way that he could make himself so well liked, and he definitely, I think, like we've said, was a villain in that way where he was like, I'm just going to make everybody feel like they're the most special person to me. And it was intentional, right? But I do think he did form honest bonds and connections with people out there as well. So, but yeah, I think it maybe was a little fake for some of the people on the cast, and he just did it because he knew it would get him the win, and that was great. Good for him. That is situation awareness, I guess. So yeah.
Well, I think it's a different type of extrovert, or like a different type of exuberance, right? Like his is about making people feel good, and Carolyn is kind of driven by her internal dialogue, you know, and like her narrating her own life. And then Jam Jam is probably a little bit more people focused and relationship focused there. So I think you're right. If just, Jam Jam made people feel good, and that can't be overlooked.
Yeah, and I think he also knew how to sell his game better than Carolyn did. As you said, Carolyn has such a rich inner monologue that you want to hear everything, but it might be too much all at the same time, especially when it comes to, hey, you need to just prove to these people why you deserve to win. I think Yami did a much better job at that, being like, this is why I'm here and this is why I deserve this.
Well, that was a big part of the tribal with her was anything that you did strategic, or was it all just coming from this like crazy energy? And she was like, no, there really was strategy there, but like I do play with my heart, and this is who I am. I went out here and I played by myself, or played as myself. And maybe it was Jam Jam's story too. But I think Carolyn had super amazing story, right? It's very rare you see somebody who, suffered with addiction and then to come on here and be sober for it, like that's a really amazing story. So I think you're right. She just didn't do a good job selling herself at the end, but Jam Jam's a hard guy to compete with. So
yeah, agreed.
Getting a likability contest with Jam Jam, I don't want to do that.
No, and that's true. And I think, Carolyn, that's one of the things that I think what she brought that was so special and makes her so likable. Even like now, she still is so likable by so many people, is that she's continuously bringing her authentic self all of the time. And she spent a lot of time trying to hide these parts that she just did a video on Instagram where she was talking about, I didn't think anything was wrong with me. I thought I was pretty normal until people started telling me, people that weren't very nice started telling me I had all these things wrong with me and I shouldn't be myself. And then she'd listened to them, and that led her to the drug addiction and all the issues that she had. And so now she's like, no, I don't want anyone else to go through what I went through. So I'm just going to be myself. And if that makes me unlikable, or people don't get me, or I look silly or stupid or embarrassing to people, I don't care, because I need to show that being your authentic self and who each of you are, that is you, and be damn proud of who you are, and don't let anyone else tell you that you're less than. You are more than all of the time, no matter who you are. And I think that message shines through. It came through on Survivor. It's why we connected with her, and it's still who exactly she is. I mean, she has just gone through something pretty horrific herself in a very abusive relationship. She's been very open about it and shared it on social media so that no one else, so that people can see that, know they're not alone, and that there is hope and light on the other side, and to get through things. And that takes a very confident human who loves who they are and is comfortable in their skin to be that open and authentic. And she is 100% that. So I do have a lot of love for her. I think what she's doing is really amazing. And I think that's why we connected with her. Did it get her the jury vote? No, it didn't get her any votes, but I don't think that really mattered. And that's why Sia saw so much in her. I could go on and on about Carolyn. I'll go on.
There are many people I'd like to see a second time. Carolyn's on a short list of people I'd want to see 3 times or more. On Survivor.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, great. All right, best move. Let's get to it. We have details Julie to play the idol and vote for Emily. We have the Reba 4 and the Emily blindside. Emily and Caleb blindside Sabaya, and Carson and Jam Jam blindside Franny.
The real answer is King George's 3 moves, and then Shawnee's vote off of George. That's the real answer to that. They didn't give us those options. So let's Americanize this. Where are you at, Alex, on that list? I don't know yet.
I mean, Caleb's, play, I think that was, playing the shot in the dark and getting that. I think that's like one of the all-time, it's just pure luck, but so I guess maybe it can't be considered a play because it's just pure luck. Can you go over them again?
They're not doing they don't have the Caleb one as the best move.
Yeah.
It's D tells Julie to play the idol and
that was
blindside.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean that.
No, I mean, I don't know. I thought because it was so late in the game, I think the stakes and the credibility and the difficulty gets harder the longer you go. And that she was so close to Austin that she should get that information. I think it was kind of I don't know, because maybe if they didn't vote out Emily, then Emily would have gone for D, and she said that she was gunning for D, so maybe that was, one of the better plays. But I don't think any of them were super strong necessarily. But I don't know. What do you think, Brandon?
I agree with everything you said there. I think that Dee's play when she did that, and because at that time Drew was the one with immunity, right? When D made that decision, or was it Austin? Or who?
No,
was
Drew.
No.
Drew
had immunity.
He did? They couldn't vote him out?
They couldn't vote him out because Julie was going to vote for Austin. And then D talked her out of it and said, no, you have to vote for Emily.
Gotcha.
I think for D to have the awareness that her convincing Julie to vote someone else and not making Julie consider that, wait, hold on, why don't I just vote about Julie in this case, or D in this case?
Right, D, yeah.
Like that, I thought that was mesmerizing too. That wasn't even a thought that was brought up on the screen that we got to see. So I think that helped me helps emphasize how great that move was for me, and I think that should have been the winning one.
Yep,
I agree. Julie should have did that. She should have voted off D.
Yeah, she should have.
That would have been that would have been like the Shawnee King George, like that. And that's kind of what was maybe like frustrating about that season was like like we want to see a villain, but everyone's like so afraid to be a villain now.
Yeah. The bus stops too soon in U.S. Survivor. the mindset, the villainous mindset, that next oomph hasn't been there for a couple seasons in Survivor, to where Australia, that's why people watch Australia, because it's always that, okay, this, wait, hold on, I can even do this and really cap it off. And I think that's in like almost half of the episodes we see in Australian Survivor.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Julie that question. Like, why didn't you vote off D? Would you ever, if you could go back, would you vote off D? Because that would have been the play of the season. Because D, I think I said, whatever. D was from the beginning a shoo-in to win. Julie was seen as kind of this threat, but what did she really do? I mean, she was kind of an accomplice with the D and very likable and Mama Julie, but she didn't have anything, except that vote that she did vote off Emily, right? So that would have been one of the all-time great blindsides, and the fact that she told her, and that the idol came from. I mean, Julie missed opportunity there.
And I wonder if that is a consequence of longer gameplay in Australia, or if that's just an Australian mindset. Whether it's too soon for them to be thinking that fast, but I don't know. I would think that they could. So.
Yeah, I have a perspective on the whole thing, and I want to talk about it before we wrap up, because it's for me, that's a hot button topic, is the villainous kind of a behavior. So I want to get back to that. I do want to finish this list though and get through it. Funniest moments. There were so many funny moments, but this one, and I'll tell you the one that won, because I'll give you the top two, because I didn't like the boys' night montage. I was like, it's cool, it's funny, but it's not like that classic moment. But it's between, for me, it was like Jake's whoa, sorry, not sorry kind of a thing. And Carolyn, when she watched Danny and Brandon bro out when they were on that reward at the sanctuary, and she's like spitting out oranges, and she's like, to me, that was the funniest. I thought, like, she was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm sitting here listening to this crap right now. And she just gave us like this honest reaction to the whole thing, things that we do at home when we see some of this stuff, and she just brought it. So it was brilliant.
I like the bro down. I like this season 45 bro down where they had Drew with his lengthy arms, and they had the 80s, what is that, 80s music. They had like the 80s hair metal or whatever it was, rock ballad. It was a rock ballad. And maybe you got to be a bro. Maybe you got to be a dude to understand that, Bree, but it connected down deep at a
it hits you in the heart, did it? All right.
Yeah. Flashbacks to my elementary school sleepovers, So, Brandon, were you feeling the bro vibe? Or
I feel that the bro, the whole bro thing is just being. Look at this. We have two bros going up against each other. Two bro moments. One being completely made fun of, and one like with 80s music and all the things. So I liked them both. So I'm going to give 2 awards. I know this is not fair, but I'm going to do Mario Party and give 2 different mini game stars. One to the bro edit. I think that was the best edit Survivor ever had in the new era, was all the music in the 80s and all the things Alex.
The burping and
fart. And I think just the best like natural, just the hilariousness of Carolyn responding to the bro. So Carolyn gets the award, and the Survivor CBS editing team gets the award.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
they were both bro moments. I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, and that's like the female reaction to those kind of moments.
Yeah,
like, oh my god.
Yeah, cute.
And Drew admitting to he doesn't bro out ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he always said like, I wanted to be part of the bro thing. I stay at the library and read books. The fact that he got a part of that kind of lets you be like, oh, good job, Drew. You hit those levels. Boy.
That's true. It was an accomplishment for him, and he played along well with it. And I thought it was great that he was just like the way he was. So I will give him credit. And yeah, the editing of that was a lot of fun, which we don't see. All right, next one, shocking moment. There's only one, in my opinion. There's only one.
Safe.
And we can all say it at the same time. It's Caleb.
Yeah. Very shocking.
That was it was so successfully played. It was so well done. We were all on the edge of our seat, just waiting for Jeff to open it up and say safe. And we got our moment. So I think the reason that I love this moment the most is the players got an incredible moment. And the audience got an incredible moment because it's something we wanted to see happen, right? And it was just so perfectly balanced, and they were shocked and we were shocked. It was like the first time I think I screamed and was like, yes, out loud, right? When I saw that happen. And I think it gave everybody that sense. So it blew everybody else out of the water on the most shocking moment. So
the stakes were high too. I mean, it was for jury, right? And Caleb really wanted to be on the jury, and everyone wants to be on the jury. So I think it was also the stakes, and that every single vote. I mean, and they had such a big, that just nothing like that has ever happened. So. Yeah, but I think the stakes of it too made it, because if it would have happened like early in the season, right, when they were like on one tribe and and then okay, cool, it doesn't matter. But 11 people, going to be out and it's emerged before you actually get on the jury. That's pretty cool. So.
And again, that's the difference between Australia and American Survivor. I don't think Australian would ever get to a place that far into the season where everybody would unanimously vote for one person. I just don't ever see that happening. So again, that can only happen in US Survivor.
All right. We're getting into it. I love Bobby says we deserve that moment 100%. Yes, we did. I love Bobby's been really active in the comments. He did say he never wants to see Rob on his screen again. He's not his favorite, but he won. People go argue with their mama on why he did or didn't deserve it, but he won. Yeah, that's one of those really questionable ones, but I still think Rob plays a great game as well. And he does have situation awareness. He's shown that he does read a room. He does know when to apply pressure, and he can be that dominant guy when he was like, take care of Amber and I'll take care of you. Yeah, he took care of you. It wasn't like what you wanted, but he did take care of you and you were gone. But yeah, everybody that's the greats, I think that they have a way of playing the game that sets them apart from others. And I still am going to go with situation awareness. Favorite. We got to go with our favorite international character. So there is a, we do have something for those that aren't American players, except for one. There's one American on here. So we've got Liz, we've got Nina, Simon, Shawnee, George, and then Christopher Tanuki. I don't know this one. And then Jordy. I love Jordy. Didn't vote for him, but favorite. Yeah. Who is your favorite Australian player so far?
Go ahead.
Well, we love Nina. She's been on the show. Nina's amazing. I love her. She's such a nice person. She's such a sweet. And on her season, she did really well amongst. But my all-time favorite Survivor player is Liz. She's physical. She got Georgia. She did so much. She dominated the season with King George. But as far as watching, I think she's like the best overall Survivor player. Olympian, strong woman, endurance, speed, smart, sociable. Everybody liked her, so I think all around she's probably the most well-rounded and my favorite Survivor player. But the one that I like to watch the most is King George, right? Because he's the one, if you have him on the season, that season's going to be good. He's going to tell, as long as it gets far, he's going to weave an amazing story, and he's going to have the craziest gameplay, and he's such a good negotiator and deal maker. So I think at like, if we're just looking at the intellectual level, which I like to look at Survivor at, like the challenges are cool, but I like the idols. I like the play. I like the negotiation and the moves. And George, I think above everyone else is probably the best at that.
I think George has two things over every single Survivor. One subjective and one's objective. The subjective one for me is that I usually cheer for the underdog by season by like episode 5 or 6. I usually am not cheering for that person, the one anymore. And he's the only one that I've ever kept on cheering for him being the best out there. The objective one is, look, if you look at both of his seasons, I think he's probably one of the only, not only people, but one of the very few that started from day one by himself, where he was about to get kicked out and he sacrificed, I think, for a girl named Kara, like one of the first episodes, where he was smarter than everybody else that first episode and then carried that through 2 seasons of Survivor, except for Liz, who he got outsmarted by towards the end there. I think it's King George with a sub-level of Liz being a runner-up, or even Shawnee. I think Shawnee is great TV too, and villainous. Not as great as Liz, but King George, I think, by leaps and bounds.
I like Shawnee's look. She looks very like English or British. She just looks very kind of like upper class.
Yeah,
she definitely does. My opinion on Liz, and this is, I think she's a brilliant player. I think she ended as a brilliant player. I don't think she started as one. She was a newbie. She had a lot of learning to do, but she paid attention and she got herself through. So is she, in my opinion, the best player ever? I think George definitely has that edge over her because of his manipulation skills and his willingness to like go for it hard. Like he doesn't, if he makes a decision, he's not backing down. He's going to go through it. We saw it specifically in the one challenge that they did live at Tribal, where they got to Tribal and then they had to do a challenge, and Simon ended up winning that challenge. And so they had to change quickly on their feet, and George was able to see all of the plays down really rapidly, like on the spot. I got to change. We were going to do Simon. Now we can't. He's immune. What's the best gameplay for us? And he was so quick to put that together. It's in those moments, those split-second decisions that he makes so intelligently, that I think gives him that edge, plus the fact that he just is so much fun to watch. He's crazy on. I loved him. I actually did vote for Nina, and I voted because I like her and she's a friend. So I can do that because that's what we do. That's why Julie voted for D. So I'm gonna go with that I picked Nina. I think I just was so excited to see her go with all of these Australians, and go hard in a very difficult, long, much more physically challenging Survivor franchise, and do Australia. So for me, and coming back after like getting seriously injured at the year before, right, and having to leave. So
no, he got hurt during, didn't, with Macedonian Jesus got hurt, like, wasn't episode 1 or 2 where he had to be pulled from the game and then came back to that same.
Well, he had the giant mark in the middle of his forehead. That was like, yeah.
And I think King George, I think part of this, I could talk about King George for quite some time, but I think one of the biggest things about him is that you'd watch a season, he wouldn't get voted out, and that's when you questioned if it was rigged, if they were doing this to keep him in the game. And I still don't know if that's what they did, because I think he played that well.
He did get a lot of like miraculous Survivor producer breaks where it was like, wow, this guy's really lucky. Like he gets all like there was one tribal in his first season where he was like about to be voted out. Like he was gonna be voted out. And the person who ended up getting voted out was put back into the game, and they went to like an exile island. And I was like, okay, that's kind of, so I do think like, but I think Survivor does that too. I mean, it's TV. You got to make TV. Yep. So I think like even they call the tribe swaps and, so like the producers are watching it and they're trying to make decisions that are going to, increase the quality of the final product. Right. So I'm fine with it to some extent. But yeah, it does seem like King George has this, like, he's really got the Survivor gods on his side. And he too, what I liked about King George's play is he played the idol for other people. Like he would put himself in risk. He would put himself on the line to save other people, to further his game. And I think that's what made him such a respectable player, or like such a, like an amazing player, is like, it wasn't all about himself. Like he really did take care of his alliance. He did take care of his people. And I do like that loyalty element in Survivor, and like seeing that group of 3.
Oh, we lost Alex. No, he's still here. He froze. Well, that's okay. Yeah. All right. I want to get to it. I know, Alex, sorry, you froze on us, so we missed that last little bit. Best international move. This is our last one. It is George blindsides Shawnee. Liz turns on George, or George tricks Simon into blindsiding Frasier.
He treated Simon like a puppet all season long, like a little lap dog. That's a great list. That's a great list. And I even might say, this goes against everything I stand for. Liz, because she learned from George how to pull that off. And she didn't have that piece in her repertoire, in her bag of tricks coming into Survivor, and transformed her game. And you got to love a good Survivor transformation. She won because of that move. I'll give it to Liz on that one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I do like George messing with Simon. That's like my favorite, because Simon's always so confident. He's like, I'm gonna be the king slayer. Like every episode, king slayer. He's so self-confident, and every single time George gets him every time. So I really liked King George messing with Simon. But I agree, as the game goes on, and that was the Julie voting out D moment for Liz. Yep. So 100%. Yeah. She did what Julie couldn't do.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah. I think that poor Simon, I loved him, between the fortune cookie and his butt crack that he showed Jordy that wasn't an immunity idol that he thought it was, and all the things Simon did. He was that happy-go-lucky. I'm just keep trying. He was almost in a Jake category, except for he's Simon and look at him. But he, when George did that, it was here's what I thought. It was a lot of bullying, right? It was really definitely bullying, but you just couldn't get mad at George for it. It was just so well played. And I think in that circumstance where you have to outsmart people, you're outwitting people as you're playing. He played that brilliantly. The George and Simon blindsiding Frasier moment, that is the winner of this. But I do like when Liz turned on George, because it was that sweet revenge that we'd wanted for so long. Like, this guy is too much. He can't win. He should win, but God, I just don't like him, but I like him. And we had this turmoil, and we were so glad that Liz kind of pulled the trigger on George and got rid of him. But yeah, George tricking Simon was the winner, 902 to 317.
Wow.
Sorry, Liz.
Wow.
So there were 902 people that actually did watch Survivor Australia, which is great. I like to see a lot more. I love you guys to survive it. Check out InsideSurvivor.com if you want to know more, and make sure you go over to The Tribe Has Spoken 2.0 on Facebook and join the group. The one thing I want to talk about before we go, and unless you guys have something that's on your mind that you want to get out there, is this whole villains thing. And the things I've been seeing in The Tribe Has Spoken have been the reason that we're not seeing people be villains is the social media backlash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that's true?
I think Alex is frozen again. I think social media is going to backlash 2 people a season, regardless on how nice everybody is. We saw that with Carolyn, not a villain, and yet she gets treated like she doesn't deserve at all, right? So I think it does lend yourself over to more scrutiny if you are the villain. Maybe that's what you should think about if you want to play that character, because I do miss that character. I think it's okay. But I think this is America. This is 2023. There's going to be 2024. Oh, wow. There's going to be people out there like that, regardless on who's playing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is my connection okay? Do you think I can?
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, okay. So I agree. I think I said this, like the millennials, there isn't this villainousness. Like, I think Yam Yam is the modern day villain, right? He's the guy who is so infectious with his personality. He makes you feel good, and you don't even want to feel good. But like and like that to me is like somebody who just they break through the brick wall every single time with people. And so that's why I'm excited for this new, I forgot his name, but the new guy who is like, stay positive but test negative. Like that type of personality, like he's like almost committed to making people like, and it's that commitment too, to like, I'm going to be this type of person with every single person, right? And I'll be over the top fake. And so I don't think like, you know, the old school villain, which was like hiding the machete and pouring out the rice and all that stuff, because yeah, I think that's just not in millennials or Gen Z for some reason. I think maybe Gen Z might get a little bit more villainous because they're a little bit more unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think maybe it's a millennial thing. Millennials are too nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, on social media, you got, I think 15 of the 18 castaways are still hanging out at a beach, wearing costumes and stuff and having fun together. So, you know, as a Survivor fan, you know, you're glad that they've forgiven each other, but at the same time, you kind of want to see these rivalries build up. You know, just like the Rob and Russell thing, and just like, you know, the other 15,000 rivalries we can name off. You kind of want to see that in the show aspect of, you know, being entertained. You don't want to see that as somebody who loves society and wants peace, but I don't know if we want peace.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're all hanging out after the show. Mm-hmm. So if somebody was in there and they were like actually villainous, like a Russell, where like they hated Russell, like they took it all they're like, you're like this outside of the game. You know what I mean? And that's interesting that like they all hang out after the show. They're all on social, you know, not all of them, but a lot of them are on social media, and they build a following, and you know, and they do collabs with the other ones. And you know, I'm a social media strategist, right? And I help people on social media. Like, you want to have this, you know, network of people that you guys can cross promote and do podcasts together and be on good terms with, right? So I mean, and that social media presence can be worth more than $1 million long term.
Right. Well, I think that's a changeover of having social media part of the game. I don't know if, you know, say Russell had a social media back when he won the game, or if Richard Hatch had the social media back when he won the game, would they have been as deceptive? And perhaps I think social media has kind of created this weird unity. Let's be all cool together and let's fit in. But I think the other issue with all this stuff is, I think that, is it still credible to say, like Sarah Lacina was saying, that if a woman is strategic and deceptive, she's seen as quote unquote a bitch, and a male does it and they're seen as this devious great player, you know. So I wonder how much of that is thought into this whole entire piece. If Emily would have continued her storyline of who she was, would she have all this social media backlash compared to a guy? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. You know, and here's the thing. I don't think in Australia they're so concerned with that. I love to see that they are devious and villainous and all of those things. And that's what I love about Survivor. It might be why I'm so excited to watch the new Survivor that's coming out in Australia. Titans versus Rebels. I'm ready for Rebels. Let's go.
And I know we're running on time, but I did talk to one of the survivors. He's the log splitter from Australia. I'll figure out his name last time.
Yeah.
So I talked to him on social media, and he said that, you know, in Australia, the things that are crazy in America, like, you know, the racism fight and all the different things that are going on in America, it's elevated 3 times in Australia, but no one really reports on it. Like it's the same kind of thing. They're so much more open about their feelings, and if someone doesn't care, they don't care either. So, you know, it's just a completely different culture there in Australia.
Yeah, and I don't think they care, and I think they're ready to you know, throw down and do the things they need to do and get the money, and it's a lot less money too. So I think that, you know, I want to see it a little bit more. I think that the difference that I'm seeing is all of the people that play on Survivor right now, because of their age, because of the generation that they're a part of, for the most part anyway, they understand the influence and the things that social media will give them as far as moving forward from Survivor, and so they're a little afraid to do any damage to what could possibly be an influencer or a brand ambassador or all the things that'll come to them with a successful social media that they're going to get from the show. So I think maybe that's the trepidation. But if Kelly Ben Simone means anything to you, she is one of the OG housewives of New York City. She said any PR is good PR, and sometimes you gotta throw a little shade. They know how to do that on the Housewives. I'd like to see Survivor throw a little shade. Come on, players, let's do this.
Well, with the Australian Survivor 2, last thing on it is it's so much more physical. It's always like, if you look at you know, original seasons of Survivor, it was a lot of this head-to-head combat, battling each other, pushing each other off the ledge, you know, fighting for the ball. And then they got rid of that. And I said this last time, you know, now the Survivor challenges are like for little babies. It's like dig a tiny hole, run through a puddle, put together, you know, 2 puzzle pieces, and then you win. And so I think the physicality of that season too, that they make people battle, that there's a physical confrontation between people, increases the cutthroatness of
you almost want to build up the puzzle people first rather than the stronger people, because the likelihood of them winning the challenge at the end of the game is far more probable. Yeah.
The opening challenge of Heroes versus Villains on Australia, they had to go through a course and get things that they were going to bring back to camp, and you could steal the things from the other team, and you were really battling each other, and that we were stealing food and taking things, and that to me, like, I want to do. Can we see that, please, on the U.S. version? I loved it because they've done that on the ship in the beginning before.
Yeah,
World did it.
Yeah. Well, you know, but I do watch those seasons back, and I'm a little bit older now, so I realize, wow, the human body is pretty fragile, right? And they did have all these times where there would be physical confrontations and then somebody would get hurt, or I like watch these seasons where I'm like, oh my gosh, like someone's gonna get really hurt doing this, and you fly them all the way out here and they're on the tribe already, and they're making TV, and then they get hurt doing like a stupid kind of challenge that could have been avoided. And I'm just like, that's such a dumb way for, like, James, for example, right? Big James, right? And I don't even know if his was challenge related, right? So I get frustrated sometimes when I see that when they are having physical confrontations where they're doing things where people could get hurt very easily. I'm like, but then again, I want it too, right? I want them to do it, but not get hurt. It just doesn't really happen. So.
Yeah, and that's, I think, why we're liking, like Bobby's saying, House of Villains, and The Traitors is coming out. It starts in a week, I think, and we see Sandra's on there and Parv is on there, and there's a lot of, you know, there's housewives on there, and they get the villainous thing. That's what it's all about. So you want to know why Traitors is so successful? It's because it's feeding that need that we have, that we want the villains, and then we want good to succeed. That's what a whole story is about, that we love. We want to see the bad guys versus the good guys, and the good guys win, and sometimes the bad guys win, and I mean, how many countless movies and stories are written about that? We want that on Survivor too. So
Yep.
we're getting our fix from the traders. Bobby, I agree with you 100%. That's why we like these shows so much. I want to see more of that in our Survivor. Any last thoughts before we wrap it up? We are right at we're a little over the 1 hour mark.
I think the summary of this is we all want to see Abby Marie back in the game, right?
Oh gosh, no, please bring that child back. Oh Lord.
Was that not right?
No,
oh, jeez.
we stopped watching the season because she was on it. Like, we got to change the season. This is too annoying.
Bring Johnny
No
Fairplay
rewatching it.
back. Come on, bring me somebody good. I'll take Sandra. I'll even take Rob, even though he's not one of my favorites either. I want to see these youngins how to play the game.
Yeah, I would like to see like a super old school with just like Gen Z, only Gen Z, and just see how it goes, right? You know, like a Boston Rob with a Gen Z cast. Like that'd be really funny. But he's actually playing, right? That'd be kind of funny.
For sure. No, you can bring Abby back. She won't last long. we won't tolerate it. She was just mean and like completely clueless and talk about the opposite of situation awareness.
That was it. That was it.
That's what she brought. Hear more from you guys. Let us know in the comments. Subscribe and like this video. Share it with your friends. You want to come on and give us your opinion? We'll even check with that. We'd love to have you. We got great things coming up before we head into Australian Survivor and season 46. We're going to be diving into some all new things next week. So we'll see you back here. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.